Foreign policy is the focus of the upcoming debate. But just 3 days from that big foreign policy debate, Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee has released this 166 pages of sensitive but unclassified documents that will likely add fuel to the fire surrounding the deadly attack on the U.S. consulate, the mission there in Benghazi. Joining me now is New York Congressman Eliot Engel, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Good to have you this morning. Before we get to the debate, I want to ask you about these documents released by Chairman Issa. It includes some important diplomatic cables. Aren't these documents showing that there was really a major security concern before the attack?
Well, we don't really know, and the investigation is going on. We should let the investigation continue. The Republicans, with Chairman Issa, with Mitt Romney's statements, are trying to make political hay out of a national tragedy. Quite frankly, I think the way Governor Romney acted after the ambassador was killed was despicable. At a time of a national tragedy, we should be pulling together and speaking with one voice, not trying to score cheap political points. President Obama is no more responsible for what happened in Benghazi than President Bush was for 9/11 or President Reagan was for the Marines being killed in Beirut.
Congressman, you say we really don't know, but I want to read you something that we learned from this document dump on Friday. This is from Ambassador Chris Stevens. He writes in a cable, he says, "What we have seen are not random crimes of opportunity, but rather targeted and discriminate attacks." So he obviously knew something there. This shows a pattern of persistent violence. The attacks were targeted, not random, right?
Well, I don't think we know. I think there are conflicting reports. I think we ought to have everything investigated fully. If there was any kind of impropriety, then I think heads should roll. But what I'm saying is that at a time of national crisis, the Republicans should stop playing cheap political games. That's what Governor Romney's doing. That's what Congressman Issa's doing. That's what they're doing. This is just an attempt to try to sway the election. The ambassador was killed. It was a tragedy. I want to get to the bottom of it. You know, we had classified briefings in Congress, and while I can't, divulge what happened, I think a lot of things are murky. I want to get to the bottom of it just like anybody else.
But here's the question.
I don't want it to be cheap political points, and that's what they're doing.
You say you want to get to the bottom of it, but the problem, at least the Republicans would say, is that the government is not speaking with one voice. We want to go to the soundbite from the president on the 12th in the Rose Garden. Let's listen to that, and then let's listen to other members of the administration saying some very different things. Let's start with the president. Okay, well, I can tell you what the president said. He indeed the next day called it an act of terror, saying that no act of terror would stand against the president. But then we heard from Jay Carney, the president's spokesperson, who says that there was nothing pointing to this being a planned act of terror. Then we heard from the UN ambassador Susan Rice, who said that there was nothing that showed this was planned or premeditated. When we heard from her on the 16th on all the Sunday shows. And then on the 27th, we heard from Panetta, the Secretary of Defense, who said that it is clear that this was a planned act of terror. So should the administration come out and say what it absolutely is or absolutely is not before they know?
Well, President Obama said the buck stops with him, and the administration should investigate and come out with exactly what happened there. You know, I really find it interesting that the Republicans are trying to use this for the election when Congressman Ryan, my colleague, had a budget which cut $330 million out of diplomatic security, which is less than what the administration requested. So, I want to get to the bottom of it, and I want to find out if there were any kind of improprieties, and if there are, heads should roll. But I think using this to play cheap political games before an election is not what the Republicans should be doing at all.
Do you think that Congressman Issa released these documents specifically to set up Governor Romney before the debate on Monday?
Well, what do you think? I think Congressman Issa... I think, of course, I think Congressman Issa has been doing these kinds of things with his committee, playing politics and becoming the attack dog against the administration. This is just one in many things that Congressman Issa has done. That's what his committee does. That's the purpose of his committee. And of course they're doing it because of the debate.
Let me get one more thing.
President Obama has a great record on national security. He killed Osama bin Laden. We're getting out of Afghanistan. We got out of Iraq. That's why the American people have constantly said that President Obama is way ahead of Governor Romney in terms of national security, in terms of foreign policy.
All right, Congressman Engel of New York, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.